back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. We have talked many, many times on this podcast about niching, about finding your Fred Burns only, about working from your superpowers, right? But I know this can be a big obstacle. Even if you're on board with wanting to niche, you have to be ready to overcome the fear of narrowing down and saying no to the wrong clients or the type of clients you just don't want to work with. They're not the wrong people, just the wrong projects, right? However, before even developing this confidence, this discipline of saying no, you need to know what is my only, what is my superpower, and you need to know how to figure it out. And if I weren't asked this question over and over, I might think you could just go to the back catalog and listen to the other shows that talked about it. But I know sometimes we need to hear things again in a different way. And that's where my guest today, Rachael Johanson, comes in. She shines in this area. Her superpower is finding your superpower and teaching you how to use it to elevate your business, your services, your marketing, and your sales process. I cannot overstate how exceptional Rachael is at this. She has helped me do it. She has helped dozens of all-star experts and designers that I personally know do this. She was one of the favorite speakers at LuAnn Live last year in Orlando, wowing us with her insights on how to find the unique differentiators that make each of us, us. Today, Rachael's here to share how to discover that superpower of yours and more specifically, how to take it and to use it to land the right clients, to market yourself strategically and transition to the true luxury market. Before we get into this, have you heard about the Power Talk Friday tour? The New Jersey Power Talk Fridays tour is being sponsored by Schwartz Design Showroom. And this May 22nd, 2024, I will be at the Schwartz Design Showroom in Edison for an all-day masterclass in, let's call it, Business 101. I will have a session in the morning and in the afternoon. One session is how to negotiate successfully with confidence, and the other is how to guide your business through economic uncertainty. And guess what? Schwartz Design Showroom is giving away 2 seats to the Power Talk Friday New Jersey tour. Yes, they are giving away 2 tickets. Now, you have to be present to win, but 2 lucky individuals will get free tickets to the New Jersey stop on June 7th, 2024 in Florham Park, New Jersey. Experts for the New Jersey event include Peter Lang, the designer CPA, Vita Vykoska, window treatment pro extraordinaire, Jessica Harling, the people and process guru, Nicole Heimer, brand strategist and website developer, as well as myself, and of course, the Vin Man will be there. Go to powertalkfriday.com to learn more and buy your ticket, or if you are in the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania metro area, join me at Schwartz Design Showroom on May 22nd, 2024 for your chance to win a free ticket. We will put the link for the RSVP in for the Schwartz Design event in the show notes, and all the links are in my Instagram profile as well. All right, let's hear what Rachael has to say about leveraging your superpower in your business. Well, hello, Rachael. Thanks so much for joining me again on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Lou. I'm excited.
It's fun to see you. The last time we saw each other was at LuAnn Live in Orlando in November 2023. Last time we saw each other in person anyway. Yeah. Since then, you've coached me again. I've gone 2 rounds of coaching with you now. Yeah. It's interesting, Rach. We met each other, I don't know if is it 3 years, only 3 or 4 years ago at this point. It's not
I
that
think it was
long.
like pre-COVID. I'm not really sure. I get confused on the COVID
Mm.
timing.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd have to sit and think about that, but
Mhm.
it's it's not that it's look, I'm doing this 8.5 years, so it's not at
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
beginning. And what's remarkable to me is how much impact you have had on me as a
Oh,
person
thank
and
you.
in my business since I've met you, and how much impact you have had on the women in our industry. Like, I know I only met you 3 or 4 years ago. You were already impacting, but now they come up and tell me, "I've worked with Rachael. I heard Rachael on your show, and, my friend hired her, so I hired her." And I always ask them, what was their result? What was their aha? And it's it's amazing to
I'm like
me.
crying over here.
I
You are
know
so
you are.
we're on video. You're so sweet to me. Thank you. Yeah.
But Rach, I don't know how one human has such a laser focus ability to look at another human and find their superpower. It's crazy to me how you do that. And the thing is, what I know is it's not luck because you've done it with 2 or 3 dozen people that I've met.
Mhm.
It's it's a remarkable gift, Rachel. It's a
Thank
remarkable gift that
you.
you have.
Thank you for saying all of that. Truly, that means a lot to me. I feel so honored to get to do this work. I get to sit behind the scenes of some really, really talented women, whether they're seasoned in the industry or they're up and comers. And all of the women that I work with are brilliant at their craft, right? They're great designers, they have great ideas. And I view myself as the 5% tweak, right? Like I'm not getting into the weeds with someone's blueprints or who they source with vendors, but I'm the 5% that is like, who am I? How do I sell? How do I reach my ideal clients? And that's the 5% where the money is. So for me
Yes.
to be able to work with these women and help them do that really, really, I'm not calling it like small, but big
Yes.
5% tweak, it's just, it's the honor of a lifetime to be part of it.
Do you know what's interesting? As many conversations as you and I have had, and you might have said that to me before, but I just heard it with such significant clarity
Mm-hmm.
because having coached with you twice myself and having that
Mm-hmm.
luxury and that privilege at this point, it is exactly the 5% tweak. It
Mm-hmm.
is. It's like you're doing so much right in your business and you've got your head on straight, but it's just that little tweak that opens up such significant pathways. And that's why, I know that you work with up and comers. I know that you work
Mm-hmm.
with women who are at the beginning of their journey, but it's also why I know some of the big names in our industry, Ariane Belazar, Sandra Funk, Kathy Quos, Jenny Slingerland, like these women have all worked with you because
Mm-hmm.
it, I know for me, it's you I go to when I'm like, what am I not seeing? Right. What
Mm-hmm.
am I not like? What am I? It's right in front of me and I can't put my finger on it. Like, what is, and often what I say to you is, what is the thing that I'm not conveying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know me, you know
Mm-hmm.
my heart, you know my goals, you know what I want for my colleagues and the listeners of the show and the sponsors of the show. What am I missing? And you always nail it. You always nail it.
Thank you. And I love your voice memos. I like listening to them when I'm driving. I love the ideas. And I think that that's what I see. But to your point, like often with clients, right? And for anyone that doesn't know my background, like in short, what I do is I work with female entrepreneurs, specifically in the interior design realm, that come to me and say, hey, listen, I'm working on 30, 40, 50 projects a year. I'm doing a one off bathroom, I'm doing one off spaces, and I want to transition my business from this arena of where I have to have lots and lots of clients to make good money to the luxury market where it's less clients, more money.
Yeah.
And I think, and really like it's that bridge that you're walking over from 30 projects a year to 10. The bridge is the storytelling. The bridge is the sales strategy. The bridge is your niche. The bridge is how you're showing up. What are you saying on your consultation calls? That's the 5%. And I think
Yes.
to your point, Lou, like a lot of women that I coach and I serve, they're sitting so close to
Yeah.
their business. So it's really hard to see like how are they being perceived? Where are they maybe saying something that isn't really what they want? Or perhaps maybe they're not clear on their story. And when you're not clear on your
Yeah.
story, then how could anyone else be
Right.
clear on it? And
Right.
I was using this example at Lou Live, and I felt like it really resonated with the audience because I remember seeing a lot of heads nodding. I had a visual, and the visual was of two different pictures. The first picture was like a bajillion pennies, okay, and then the second image was of silver dollars. Okay,
Mm,
the bajillion pennies is where you're working with high volume, but
yeah.
it's low ticket pricing. High volume, you're doing a ton of e-designs a year, you're doing one-off spaces, you're trying to sell vases on your Instagram, right? High volume, low ticket.
Right.
You can make great money there. You
Yeah.
can. It's just not the market that I serve. That market, you better be on Pinterest, sister. You better be doing SEO work, right? You better be doing like swipe up on Instagram.
Right.
Okay. The market I serve is the silver dollars.
Yeah.
It is really high ticket. So full scope projects, not one off spaces,
Right.
right? It is really in the luxury market of low volume, high ticket.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
silver dollar. So pennies to silver dollars, and not one's better than the other, but it's different ways that you market. And I do want to say that because, and not to go on a whole TED talk, Lou, but I think that the industry, I love the design industry in the sense of like everyone's sharing advice all the time. And I love that it's open and sharing resources. But I think where some of the disconnect is it's not being said the advice of who it's right for. So
Right.
then I'll see some women being like, should I be on Pinterest creating all these pins? And I'm like, hang on, no, that's the penny market, right?
Yes.
You're trying to work on 10 projects a year. Your ideal strategy is actually taking 10 builders out to lunch and showcasing what you can do.
Yes.
Different strategies, different verbiage, different sales that are going on in the silver dollar market than the penny market. Both are great options. So just making a word of caution if you want the penny market, this episode's probably not right for you in all the beautiful ways, right?
Right.
Like I'm not
Right. Right.
talking Pinterest and TikTok, my friends. Yeah.
Right. 100%. 100%. 100%. And that is the thing is to hear that in the message.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to serve many people and have tons of projects and have tons of different revenue streams that all
Mm-hmm.
contribute, great, right? But
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
looking to serve fewer at a higher level, that's a different goal. And when you go for that goal, you have to be very clear and laser
Mm-hmm.
focused on how you're going to reach them because it's not throwing the spaghetti at the wall. It's
No, no.
literally taking, what's a pincushion thing and
Uh-huh.
sticking it on the wall like this right here.
Yeah.
Like you said, 10 builders, 10 lunches. Let's get it going. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think just a note on that is like why you? And I say that with a lot of love. But like you could want luxury clients all day every day, but guess what, sister? Of course everyone wants the new build that's 6,000 square feet. The question becomes why you over everyone else? And that's I think Lou to your point, like that's the work that I do
Yes.
is putting together the pieces of the puzzle, coming up with something that my clients can go take, run, and implement, whether
Mhm.
it's like me writing their biography or auditing their entire website. Move your headshot here and underneath say this. Or
Yeah.
when a sales call is set up, here's the email that you send them with this packet.
Yeah.
When they say
Yeah.
yes to a call, here's your script. I'm going to pretend to be you. Say this, don't say this, right? But it's like there's a different way to market in
Yes.
this industry
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
silver dollars, right? Yeah.
And that's what's the thing about it is the level of detail and the level of research that you
Mm-hmm.
do and the level of what's included in the ultimate deliverable when you work with you is incomprehensible. Actually, it literally is. Like, what's interesting is I know that your process is that once somebody is interested in working with you,
Mhm.
they submit a very detailed Q&A form that you have,
Mhm.
and it's designed to get the information that you need out of them
Yep.
to begin the process. And then what happens is once it's decided, you've agreed and they've agreed and you're going to move ahead, you go back and you don't get your appointment with you for 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. And you go back and you do all the research in the world on this person, on their business, where
Mhm.
they are in the marketplace, the things that they've produced, the things, and then you come with this plan. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, all right, well, come on. You know,
Yeah.
like I met you through the podcast.
Uh-huh.
I trusted you. I believed in you, but I was completely underestimating the deliverable.
Mm.
I literally it is shocking to me, like when you just said, so when you answer your email to that builder, this is the template, and
Yeah.
when you do your phone script, this is the template. Like, you're
Yeah.
not just like, here, step 1, go make
Uh-uh.
templates. No, you come with them based on, and the template that you're going to make for Jennifer Stoner is going to be the different than the template you're going to make for Ariane Belazar, because they are going
Totally
after
different brand,
two.
different goals. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not
Yeah.
like, here is a template for an email response to a
Mm-mm.
builder that's in the luxury market.
Mm-mm.
It's remarkable the level of weeds that you get in and the deliverables that you bring. Rach,
Thank
that's what I'm saying.
you.
Like, how do you get to that level? I don't get it.
Thank you. I think, and I'm like laughing about this. I feel like I'm a micromanager in all of the beautiful and also like annoying ways. Like my husband hates it, but my clients love it. So, right, like I'm coming like with 30, 40, 50 pages of notes. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
here is your subject line, right? And
Yes.
a lot of my clients view these as like their playbook, right? And
Yeah.
that's what it is, that I have done all of the work, the research, knowing like who this woman is, what she's sitting on, what we need to change in our story, and where we need to go. Yeah, it's very, very detailed. And that's why I only work with like 2 or 3 women a month. And that's also right because it's so detailed. Like I become the extra business partner. And
Yes.
then also, I think the other note on that is like that's why I have an application to work with me because I need to feel equally excited about what
Yes.
the woman's doing. Is she a runner? Is she someone I'm going to be like, here you go, say this, don't say this, and she's going to implement right away? Like, I love runners, right?
Hmm.
I love people that are like, I'm talented, I'm sitting on this, I'm just not reaching the right market.
Yes.
That's my favorite woman to work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And so the thing about it is that, like, I remember the story you told on the podcast about grow playrooms.
Mm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
you
With
know,
Anne. Yeah.
with Anne,
Yeah.
like, talk about that. Tell me about that. Like, it was just, I mean, we can refer them back to listen to that podcast, but
Yeah.
her before and after was, she grew a business 5 times its gross
Mm-hmm.
volume from
Yeah.
before working with you and after working with you. And it was because I know I sound like it. I don't know. I must sound like, oh, come on. Right. But like, it is crazy how you sit down, have one Q&A with us, you do months and months of research, and you identify the thing that we're not tapping into. It's bonkers to me. Like, I don't know how you do it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like a real big piece of my work is helping a woman niche down. And I think that this is
Yeah.
like a really, really good segue into this conversation
Yeah.
of, and I use this example of my husband and Trav. And do you think that's worth me sharing really quick, the
Yes.
general
Yes. Yes.
practitioner? Okay. Not,
Yes.
I don't know how many of your listeners like know this on a personal level. But let me share this story. So 2 years ago, I'm like looking at low because I'm like, was it 2 years
I
ago? Feels like
know.
a lifetime has changed.
I
Yeah,
know.
2 years ago, my husband was involved in an absolutely massive and devastating accident. He was on his bike in Chicago. He got rammed by a van, and it was 19 hours of trauma surgery. He was in a wheelchair for months, like
It's
full body
crazy.
cast, like everything broken, right?
It's a
Elbows, wrists,
normal day. The sun
clavicles,
is shining. You're walking down the
it was
street
actually
and you get
Mother's
this
Day. Yeah,
phone
yeah, yeah.
call.
His knee, toes, like everything was broken.
Ugh.
Anyway, I use this example because, right, like my first experience at Northwestern Hospital in Chicago was that people were running around taking vitals. So, how do I act as a consumer of this experience? panicked, annoyed, not sure what to do. I'm on the phone with my friend
Terrified.
who's terrified, who's a trauma specialist out at UCLA. And I'm like, do I airlift him? Is he at the right hospital? What do I do? Okay. For this example, like that is general practitioners. That's you guys saying, like, hey, I'm a designer. Here's my services. I could do furnishings. Yeah, you want one room or two rooms or a kitchen rental? I can help you do that. Okay. It's probably 10 minutes later, I had a team come out to talk to me, and they're like, listen, we have a lot of things that need to happen with these surgeries today, but our top priority right now are his hands. We have one of the top hand specialists here at Northwestern. He's done thousands of these surgeries. He's a professor for this. You know, a few weeks ago, he worked with a top piano player that flew in from Vienna, right? You're in a really good position. Okay, so how do I feel as a consumer of story number 2? At ease, trusting. If, insurance is covering this, but I have to like pull into my pockets, I
Right.
will.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's the work that I do with my clients. I help them transition from general practitioner, right? And that was like Anne, right, with the playroom. She's like, I work with families, I work with kids, I have kiddos myself. Like, I love family spaces. To crossing the bridge, that's like the 5% storytelling,
Yes.
to saying, I'm a specialized surgeon. So with Anne, we were like, I am an in-demand playroom designer. I worked with C-suite executives to support their families in designing holistic spaces that support their kids to grow. I do an extensive play audit, right? And blah, 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 right? Specialized surgery is where our money is. Specialized surgery is where our cash is. Specialized surgery is where our trust and our referrals are. So after I help a woman figure out what her niche is, and about 85% of my clients don't know what their niche is. They might have some ideas, but I help figure out the puzzle of the niche. Then I make sure everything matches up.
Yeah.
The way that Anne would speak to a family that has big money and is doing a playroom and is spending 6 figures on a playroom is different than she was speaking before of doing family design. And I think that episode, and Lou, I don't know if your team can make note of it down below.
Yes,
It's an
absolutely.
episode that Anne did where she talked about the importance of niching down and really getting clear on the messaging
Yeah.
that you use. And something that Lou and I, guys, I'm like talking to the audience, did for this episode that I think is really fun is I circled back with some of my past clients that I've coached in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe in things feeling very 1, 2, 3, where you guys can take notes. And I got approval from them to share back end numbers and examples of how we help them niche down and what that looks like. So I thought that would be fun to share.
Yeah.
Do
Let's
you
do
still
it.
feel good
Let's
on
do
that,
it.
Lou?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Love it.
Okay. So when we're talking about niching down, you guys, it's that idea of like we're going into specialized surgery, right? Specialized surgery is where our money is. And Lou, I think you were mentioning this earlier, like how do you do it? What does that look like? What's the process, right? Yeah. I like viewing it as like going to the grocery store. So let me explain what I mean. I like to pick up all of the ingredients. I'm like, do we need an onion? Do we need potatoes? Right? Like I'm gathering all the ingredients by asking questions to my clients, right? Whether it's like our monthly coaching roundtable or I'm like collecting information. I spend months going to the grocery store. Then I go back with all my ingredients, my bags of groceries, and I throw some over here. I put some in the cupboard for another day, but then I take the right ingredients, the potato, the onion, the eggs, the this, that, and the other. I cut it up, I polish it, and I put together the meal, right? So saying that to say, I think a lot of women come to me saying they're like, I'm not in a position to niche down to become a specialized surgeon, right? I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough of this, that, and the other. Everybody is
Or
sitting
I'm
on
afraid to.
something, or I'm afraid to is another
Like, I
one.
don't want to leave behind, like in Anne's case, she could have fought you and said, I don't want to leave behind family rooms and just say playrooms. I mean,
Yeah.
that is one of the most remarkable examples of what you do because honestly, I don't think most rational people in the industry would say to somebody, leave behind family rooms for busy families and just focus on playrooms. But it worked because you were able to zero in on her specific background that informed that and then talk about it in the elevated way that you did. But
Yeah.
go ahead. So,
and I think just to a good example on Anne, like she was sitting on a lot of great pieces,
Yes,
right? So I went
yes,
to the grocery store. I'm like, Anne, what do you mean that you like co-created a curriculum 10 years ago when you were in early
right.
education? She's like, I don't know. I kind of forgot about that. I'm like, wait a minute. Let
Yeah,
me take this and make this the central message.
yes, yes.
Or sometimes I'll meet women and they're like, oh yeah, I grew up in a home where my dad renovated it by hand. Like he touched everything. I'm like, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Or I have a client right now and she's out in the Miami market. I'm just talking about like grocery store shopping. We were having a conversation and, she's in her late 40s and she said, Rach, one of my first my first like opportunities in the world of getting my first job was I worked at Fendi and I was literally just like grabbing coffee for them and like doing faxes. And I was like, doesn't matter. I was like, Julian, that
You
doesn't
worked
matter
at
that you're doing
Fendi.
faxes. Your ideal market in Miami likes this international fashion scene. So how we can tell your story, how I'm going to cut up the potatoes and the onions to put together this story is you started your career at an international fashion house.
Mm,
Okay. All of my clients are sitting on something, right?
yes.
Whether it's like your father made your home by hand or you went to business school and now we can tell the story of how you're incredibly strategic with numbers and you keep the project on time, on budget,
Right,
right?
right, right,
So
right,
that's
right.
the first piece is
Yeah.
figuring out how do we go shopping and what's the story that we put
Mhm.
together? And there's lots of different ways to niche down, to
Right.
become the specialized surgeon. Some ways you can do it are your aesthetic. You can niche down for a certain aesthetic. You can niche down for a certain project scope, meaning
Mm,
like I just do renovations or I
mhm.
just do historic homes, right? Or you can niche down for a certain type of client. So for Anne, right, we niched
Yeah.
down for two things. It was the scope, and then it was also the type of client. Like their families, obviously, that have kids that are like under 11
Right.
or 12 that would invest in it. So there's so many different ways to do this of like, hey, you're organic modern, and that could just be by itself. But that's like kind of the first place I start is helping my clients figure out how we're going to niche down. The large majority of them don't know what it is. They kind of have an idea, but aren't clear on how to declare it and tell the story. And I think that this is a fun example. I was talking to actually one of my girlfriends about it last week, and I think it's easier to look at things outside of the industry. Um, do you know the brand Tatcha, Lou? It's a skincare company.
No.
Okay, hang with me on this example because it's fun. But like, I think the large majority of the skincare industry talks about things that are like glowy, dewy, anti-aging. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
But like that, like, who cares? Like, we expect it to be glowy and anti-aging, you guys, right? And
Sort
that's
of,
the
right.
designer being like, we have a system. You're like,
Yeah.
dear God, I hope you had a system, sister, right? Or like, we can make your space functional. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we expected that. But
You know
the
what
brand,
the one I'm just gonna tell you
what?
one
Okay.
second. The
Yeah.
one that I see and hear a lot on websites
Hmm.
for designers is
Yeah.
we truly listen to our clients' needs.
Yeah. You're like, especially in the luxury market, you're like, I'd expect that.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
I always say, pull it out of the industry. If you
yeah,
were a wedding planner and you're doing like really, really custom, amazing, like multi six-figure events, if you were trying to advertise, like, and we've really listened to you, you're like,
yeah.
wait, I actually think you're shooting yourself in the foot of being
Right.
like, wait, were you not planning on listening to me? Right?
It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
we know that we need to do it and we know that it's not easy to do, but to your point, the luxury consumer, that's a given, like you're dewy and glowy.
Yes.
So go ahead
Yes.
with your
Yeah, yeah.
explanation.
So it's like dewy, glowy. That's like we can do a family room. We could do a reno, right? Like, and with all my love, like who cares, right? Yeah, and I just say that because I think sometimes we look at it, it's like, okay, great. But Tatcha, the skincare company, I just purchased it, so I can't speak on the quality of the product yet. But the founder spent a ton of time abroad in the Asian market, and she was incredibly inspired by thousands of years of traditions of the geishas and their morning
Ah,
ritual and what it looked like and this, that, and the other. So do you see cross the bridge from
yes.
dewy, glowy to like our product expertise, has thousands of years of ancient rituals. So
Yeah.
that's the story at the tippy top with Tatcha.
Yeah.
Now, if you saw the product as like lotus flowers on it, or
Yes,
if
yes,
we went
yes.
to their Instagram bio speaks to that, or their
Mm,
give back and the charities they support deal with that. Or if
Right.
we talk to a 22-year-old brand new employee on an airplane, she would say the same thing. So
Right.
here's a good rule of thumb for your audience, you guys. Once we figure out the storytelling, the niche, how are we presenting the meal? I always tell my clients that each of their, I'm going to call it brand assets, brand collateral, need to sit incredibly independently on their own and be clear of what it is. So I'm just using Anne, but like we were clear that she's like luxury, in demand, playroom designer. So it doesn't matter if you guys go to her Instagram, it says just that. If
Mm.
you talk to her on a sales call, she'd be speaking that verbiage. We built partnerships out for her, right? People that fill the pipeline with like those 6-figure preschools, the principals. She's saying the same thing.
Right.
And right, so it's like that idea of Tatcha. It doesn't matter if it's like the product, the box, or I meet a 22-year-old employee or an intern or
Yes.
whatever, they're saying the same thing.
Yes.
And that makes a really good consumable brand. Consumable. So if we think of like the hand specialist, right, it's very clear what he does. That's where our money is.
Yeah.
And I got sent, it was kind of funny. I got sent an article from one of my clients on the Washington Post, and it was about salaries in the medical field. And they're saying general practitioners, roughly starting in the States around $300,000. And then your specialized surgeons are starting around 650. Right.
Right.
So it's just like a perfect example. She's like,
Exactly.
yeah, it works. I'm like, it does. Um, but anyway, so there's lots of different ways to niche down, whether
Yeah.
it's a certain type of person, right? Just for your notes, you guys, a certain type of person, a certain type of project, a certain type of scope, a certain aesthetic. So what I think would be fun, Lou, is if we go through 3
Yeah.
different
Let's do
clients
it.
where we niche them down into 3 different ways.
Love
And you
it.
might know some of these women, which I think is cool. I
Yeah.
coach each of them anywhere from like 1 to 3 years ago,
Okay.
which
Okay.
is
Good.
fun. And the majority of clients that I coach, we double their sales or we double their opportunities, depending on the woman and what she wants, right? If she wants a
Love
book
it.
deal, CBDL licensing, 2 years after our work together. So I think these are some fun ones.
Okay.
The first example I'm going to use is about niching down for a certain aesthetic. So this was my client Erica from Erilyn Interiors. And when she came to me with coaching, she felt like she was like a young newbie designer, right? She was constantly feeling like people were giving her an opportunity to take
Mm.
on their project. They were shopping her around, right? That they are like giving her this because her portfolio didn't represent all she was capable of. And I
Okay.
remember her telling me that, like, I think the market's viewing me as a mid range designer, and I know I'm
Mm.
so much more than that,
Okay.
right? So what we did was we niched her down for a very cool girl aesthetic. So as I went to the store, I'm just using this example, I learned that she does tons of travel around the world and she sources inspiration and ideas. She goes to all the art gallery openings and she brings one of a kind, pieces into her projects. I also learned that she went to business school and she also went to the art institute. I'm like, wait a minute,
Wow.
oh, like this is cool.
Right.
She goes to Aspen. She's spent time in Europe. She has horses. I'm like, wait a minute.
Wow.
We are sitting on all
Yeah.
of this where right now your story is like, I'm available. Here's my services. But she's so much more than that. She is just
Yeah.
cool.
Worldly.
Like
Worldly.
the way she dresses,
Yeah.
when I looked at her, we talked, I'm like, Erica, you're sitting on so much gold, right? So I'm
Right.
going to show you one of the things that I do with all of my clients is I take all of the pieces to put together the meal and I call it my North Star statement. Your North Star statement is just that. It's a North Star statement. Once we're clear on that piece, we cut it apart, we put in your Instagram bio. I copy and paste part of it and we send it to Architectural Digest. It's
Mm.
that idea of Tatcha with the ancient rituals that it's used on everything.
Right.
So watch the difference of before, which is like mid-range designer, I'm available, to
Yeah.
watch the storytelling of how we took her background. Okay. So let me pull this up here. Okay. Celebrated as a leader in the next wave of interior designers, Erica Davis designs spaces that stand the test of time. Sophisticated, casual, and always magazine worthy. She's the epicenter of all things cool. With dual degrees in business from Penn State University and the Art Institute, Erica brings a savvy professionalism to each project and client. On a personal note, Erica is well known for her energy, enthusiasm, and trend forward perspective. And on weekends, you can find her jet setting to stylish hotspots like Aspen, riding her horses in Wellington, or drinking a glass of Chardonnay at the Breakers.
Wow.
Okay, you see the
Yes.
difference,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
what
Yes.
you'll notice was that I was really clear in the North Star statement of saying like next wave interior designer, magazine
Mm,
worthy, like epicenter of all things
yeah.
cool, right? Or Aspen, or she's known for her energy and enthusiasm, or jet setting, or stylish hotspots,
Right.
right?
The thing about it is that it now conveys, I mean, there's no other way to say it. If I thought I was going to call somebody for a pain consult, I'm not calling this girl when I
Mm-mm,
read this
mm-mm,
bio. Like,
mm-mm.
I'm just not. I'm
You're
just not.
attracted to it or you're rejected by it. And
Right.
that is the goal. She's
That
out
is
in
the
West
thing.
Palm Beach, Wellington. We're trying to hyper target all of the clients I work with. We're trying to make them top 3% leaders in their area,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
It's like if I am a luxury consumer with
Mm-hmm.
buckets of, expendable income, and I
Mm-hmm.
want somebody that I perceive that is at my level and understands the world I move in,
Yep.
that does that.
I'm you, you're me. This is a natural fit. I'm not shopping you around. I'm not negotiating with you.
Right.
And I am not thinking I'm giving you an opportunity,
Right.
you little girl. I'm like pretending to do a pat on the head, like how
Right.
condescending,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
you're sitting on it. And
Yes.
so once we got that North Star statement, what I do with my clients is to make sure I'm calling it like all their pieces, the collateral match. So
Yes.
when I work with Erica, we did like my most extensive package, which is my brand launch weekends, meaning like I helped her pick out every single outfit and I brought in my photographer from LA and we shot her and he shoots for Vogue. He's so cool, right? Or I wrote every single word on her website,
Wow.
right? Or the logo. So all of it matched. And I think this is a good tip, just like when we're thinking about tabs on websites that I feel action focused for your audience. Like rather than just saying like projects or portfolio as a tab, like something we did with Erica is like you could say selected projects, right?
Ah,
Or something you could do instead of like contact or connect, you can say inquire. So
yes.
notice how the messaging teeny tiny
Yes.
makes a big difference.
Yes.
And what we also did with Erica was we leaned into the press. I was like, okay, you're building your portfolio. We want it to be at this luxury level, but right now we're still trying to build it. So what we need is like an external stamp of approval
Mm.
that promotes that like you are who you say you are. So
Yes.
it's like the wedding planner featured in Vogue, like we expect her to be expensive.
Right.
So I worked with Erica and we ended up landing her Forbes and Better Homes and Gardens.
Wow.
So if we're like, oh, I'm this cool, stylish tastemaker featured in Better Homes and Gardens, it supports that
Right.
story.
Right.
Right? And
Well,
it could be so many different things. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and the other thing that I want to say about it is, this North Star statement,
Mm-hmm.
it's not made up. These are the
Oh,
things about her. I mean,
yes.
that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, and this is what I'm telling you guys about Rachael. Erica knew that she had dual degrees. Erica
Mm-hmm.
knows that she rides horses. Erica knows that she frequents art galleries. Erica knows that she travels to Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
She knows these things. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow you, Rachael, have this way of walking, to your analogy, through the grocery store, seeing the same ingredients that we see, and you make an amazing meal out of it. And we just sit there and go, yeah, people keep, pushing me back on my price, and they keep acting like they're doing me a favor when
Yeah.
they hire me for their project. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I love about you, is that you're not this isn't a carpet bagging. You know what I
Mm-mm.
mean?
No,
Like,
no,
you're
no, no. Yeah.
literally finding the core essence of who each of us are, and just putting a mirror back in our face and going,
Mm.
here's all the amazing things you are. Let's just bundle it in a few statements and then blast it across all your platforms. Like, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
one of my favorite things that I get to do because this serves as the guide for everything else, right? So,
Right,
like
right.
when I work with her on any of her marketing material or partnership packets or reaching out to the press, like it all came from the North Star statement. But it's my favorite thing I do because I see some of my clients cry when we read it
Yes,
out loud. A lot
yes,
of them take a huge deep breath, and then all of them
yes.
say, "Oh my gosh, it's me." And then the
That's the
second thing I
thing.
hear, they're like, "I sound expensive," and then we do a high five and a hug, right? It's like that's the goal, that you're a match or you're not a match. And
That's the
I
thing.
have lots of different clients where we niche them down maybe for I don't know, I have a client right now, we're going to do a really like cool niche down for this like English farmhouse, like Soho farmhouse sort of look. Or I have another client where we're really niching her down for this like inspired by nature and like these really like rustic palettes. So
Mm,
that's one way for your audience members to think about doing that, niching
mhm.
down for a certain type of aesthetic.
Okay.
The second one is niching down for a certain type of client. And once again, like there's like 12 bajillion different ways. I'm just giving you a few quick
Yes.
ideas. You guys, I mean, you could niche down for an aesthetic and a client at once. But
Okay.
the client example, and side note, I think this is relevant and interesting for Erica, that after our work together, and I coached her 2 years ago, we completely flipped the script from like I'm available, call me, to like
Yeah.
truly like a designer that is like seen as an expert in the industry. People stop shopping around trying to negotiate her, and her furnishings budgets have gone up by 50%, and now she's closing six-figure design fees.
Wow.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Wow. Six-figure design
Mm-hmm.
fees.
Yep.
Whoa.
And I want to make a note that she's under 30. Okay.
Whoa. Whoa.
It's a marketing game. What are you
Wow.
sitting on? How do we story tell?
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
And you
That's
guys are all sitting on something. I guess that's
that's
my
what's
point.
so
Like,
amazing about you, Rach. You find the you you like like I've interviewed 1,000 PR reps, right? This is
mhm.
way more in depth than PR. This is
Yeah, yeah,
way more actionable. This is
yeah.
not the same animal at
I
all.
wanna help my clients make money. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
But the thing is, like with a PR rep, they're like a PR firm. They're like, what do you have that I can latch on to? That's what happens when you go to a PR firm. You have to walk in the
yeah,
door with the point of view. What do you have that I can latch on to? And what you do is, and the thing is, if you don't have something that they can latch on to, if you don't have a point of view, they're like, okay, if they're unscrupulous, they'll take your money for 6 or 8 months and nothing will happen, and you leave mad and
yeah,
they
yeah.
leave like you're the problem. But even if they are not, shysters, right?
Mhm.
Then they're just like, punching holes and trying to figure it out. And you always figure out the thing. You
Yeah.
always figure out the thing, whether we know it or not. That's what's crazy.
I just deeply believe that, and I don't want to go on a TED Talk. I'll make it 2 seconds here, but I think PR is really, really great when you have a product that you're trying to
Yeah.
sell. If you
Yeah.
have a
Yeah. Yeah.
candle that you're trying to get on Oprah's favorite thing list, like
Yeah.
you're trying to get it there and on Vogue's stocking stuffer list, and like your goal is to showcase your product everywhere. Press like that does really, really well with lower ticket items.
Yeah.
The women that I want to work with aren't trying to move a bajillion candles from a
No.
warehouse,
No.
meaning that we're looking for the stamp of approval to say, like, Erica, like I am featured in Better Homes and Gardens,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I teach my clients how to do their own PR.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
handing them, 500
Yes.
plus media contacts. Like I write the
It's
press
crazy.
templates
It's
and
crazy.
it makes life so much easier. I'm like, okay, do this, say this, put this as a subject line to an AD editor, because we're clear on the North
Yes.
Star,
Yes.
right? It
Yes.
makes
Yes.
life
Yes.
so
Yeah.
much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so niching down for a type of client. So my client Liz Walton, she came to me, and she's out in the Philly area. And
She
when
was
I
at
saw
LuAnn
her,
Live.
she was at Lou Live.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
love Liz. I love her.
Beautiful lady, beautiful lady.
Yeah, she is. And she, when I met her, she was doing all the things that she thought she should be doing, right? The idea of, like we were saying earlier, people are like, do I need a newsletter? Should it be on
Yeah.
Pinterest? Should I show up at this event? Right? Like the penny market, because we think we
Mhm,
should do that. And she was
mhm.
exhausted and she was like, we're spending like a lot of time and energy and money, but like I don't think it's resonating for our ideal client. And what was interesting about her, she was seeing like getting like one-off spaces, or she'd like get the kitchen, then it expand to the living room and it expand this or there, but like two, three, four rooms at a
Right.
time, not full scope. But what was interesting about her was she spent 12 years being a designer, like in the industry. Like she was credited right?
Yes.
She was like
Yes.
a kitchen and bath
It's a
expert,
great
but we were
reputation.
sitting on those pieces. So similar
Mm,
to Erica, like we're sitting on all these ingredients to put together a great meal. Like she's credited, she's been doing this for a decade. She knows what the heck she's doing. But like, how do we claim it? And what's the
right.
story? So we niched her down for a certain type of client, which was busy professional families. We went after C suite type of money, not the managers. We went a
Right.
few levels up. We weren't going after the small business owner with 5 employees. We were going after the medium business owner with 40, 50 employees.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
how I spoke to Liz about this is like we wanted the flower that had already budded. We were
Yeah.
not looking for the market that's like, we've been saving for this renovation for 6 years. Because you and
Right.
I
Right.
both
Right. Right.
know there's going to be problems that are going to pop up, and we don't want them pulling the cash from the furnishings budget.
Right. 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 Right.
So we were crystal clear that that's like the niche that we were going after. And then what we started to do with like my puzzle or putting together the meal was I changed the way that she did sales calls. I started having her call herself a trusted advisor, right?
Mm.
I started having her call herself the CDO for families, Chief Design Officer, right? We were speaking the lingo and the language of C suite. And the advisor, the CDO, I was digging through her pot. Like she went to Drexel University. She takes interns from Drexel's business school, right? She
Wow.
has children herself, right? So we told this whole story across sales calls. And I want to read her North Star statement because I think this one's fun and super different than Erica, which is the point,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
point. Everyone's really different. Okay. Liz Walton is the nationally acclaimed design leader and CEO. Look at that verbiage there,
Yep.
right? We didn't
Yep.
say that on Erica.
Right.
CEO behind her full service luxury design firm, Liz Walton Home. Trademarked. We trademarked that. That's
Good.
her market.
Good. Good.
See?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
With 20 years of celebrated expertise, Liz is recognized as the go to luxury designer and trusted project advisor to high profile professional families in Philadelphia. Innovative design resources, passionate expertise, and a tailored turnkey approach to each family are the hallmarks of her work.
Mm.
Okay. We weren't
Yeah.
talking about Aspen and jet setting and art sourcing. We
Right.
really went in black and white. This is the market that we want and we serve. So, for example, like when I coached Liz, yeah, 3 years ago, I guess her kids were like kind of like a little bit younger,
Uh-huh.
and we wanted a market where the kids were older, right? They already budded in their career. So, for her biography, we were mentioning that she has children, but we weren't saying their ages in the
Yeah. They're
biography.
not 8 and 10, and I'm chasing two
Right.
buildings.
Yeah, because
Right.
we want kids that are like, in high school, right, or
Yeah.
going away to college. So I
Got it.
think that's a good helpful note to your audience members. It's like when you're thinking about your biography, mentioning things that make sense to your ideal client, right? Like for example, like my ideal client is interior designers. So I mentioned that I went to High Point University. Where if I was
Right.
trying to market to a tech entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, they'd be like, "Is that a made-up school?" You know what I mean? You pick what makes sense for your ideal
Yes.
market so we can say
Yes.
I'm you and you're me, right? And
Yes.
we went after
Yes.
the Washington Post for Liz because
Mm.
that's her ideal market, reads that and views it as valid and true,
Yes.
right? Isn't that interesting? And I think these numbers are amazing and I'm so proud of Liz. But when I met her, she was a $500,000 firm in 2021. In late 2023, she crossed 3 million.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. She
That's
signed us,
amazing.
it's 6 months after our coaching, she signed $1 million furnishings budget.
Wow.
She's consistently seeing big, big budgets like that.
Wow. Wow.
Why? If you're big money, you're a C suite executive, people hang out with similar people. They sit on the same
That's
boards, they
right.
live in the same
That's right.
neighborhood, right? They go to the same country clubs. We got Liz in. We are consistent with the messaging. We spoke to them in a way that makes sense to them. And they say, I'm you, you're me. We're speaking the same language,
Yes.
sister.
Yeah. And the thing is, what it is, and this is what's so particular about the way you do your work with us, and like the full long day that we get with
Mm-hmm.
you when you
Mm-hmm.
present the 40, 50 pages of documents and research that
Yeah.
you've done for us, is you are consistently throughout the day revealing tiny nuggets that when you hear them, they make sense, but
Mm,
that when you didn't think about it, you didn't realize how, like a simple thing like mentioning that she has children, but not saying they're middle school
age,
or age,
right.
right? Like,
Yep.
because it's it's not that a C-suite executive is going to say, "Oh, well, she's got little kids. I'm not gonna work
No,
with her."
no, no.
But what
Yeah,
it is and what you learn when you work with you and you do reveal all the things about each of us when you've, researched us and you've researched our intended market, is you realize that yeah, actually, when I think about it, once you're past the stage of having little kids, like this is going to sound harsh, but it's almost like if I'm coming, like if I'm going to meet you, I'm going to take me, for example, I'm going to
mhm.
meet you at a live event. We're going to have a chit chat about you and your business. You listen to the podcast all day long. How many kids? How old are they? Oh my God,
Yeah,
six.
totally. Yeah,
My Lucy's six, my Bella's eight. But if I'm going to hire you as a professional and it's going to be as an in bed experience that renovating an entire home is or building an entire home is, like, I never thought of it before, Rachel, but subconsciously, I don't want to spend the first 10 minutes of every one of our visits you telling me about the drop off and the pickup line at
yeah,
grammar school. Like,
yeah.
I'm past that. I don't want to, I don't like, I actually, when I think of myself as that target client of hers, busy professional, multiple businesses,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. And of
I
course,
wanna
her
speak business language.
yeah, and
Yes,
actually her
yes.
target is above my, achievements already. I don't have 50 employees. I guess across 3 companies I do though,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
my point is it's such a tiny nuance, but it is
Mhm.
one of the 100 tiny nuances that you capture for us. And that's how come the whole thing is remarkable. Because
Thank
if
you.
your only deliverable is one nuance like that, okay, thanks, Rach. Not going to change my life. It's
Mhm.
going to make something better. It is actually going to be actionable, but it's one nuance. And the clarity on when you put these nuances in front of us is like, you're just like, "How did I not see it?" But, we don't. We absolutely
Yeah,
don't.
it's hard when you sit so close. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. And I think something that's also helpful is that my husband and I are in many ways are like an ideal client for a lot of my clients.
Yes. Yes.
So, like, I'm able to sit in the seat of like, I'm like, don't do that, don't say that. This is the way it's being perceived when you have a free download on your website, 5 steps to whatever. You're not
Yeah.
trying to showcase that you're a DIY designer, so don't put that up there.
Right,
And
right.
Lou, we were talking about this before we hopped on, but like my husband and I just bought this really, really cool 1929 David Adler home out in the Chicagoland area. And what's interesting about this is, right, I sit on the back end of designers all day. I know that if I reached out to 5 interior designers, 3 of them on their website would have a link that's like book a call, 15 minutes free, book a call. One of them I might fill out a form and then get triggered an email that says something like thanks for inquiring, here's how you set up a call with a Calendly link,
Yeah.
right? One of them maybe, most likely not, but like what I would suggest my clients do, and maybe this is helpful for your listeners, but like what about the one that said something along the lines of like, hi Rachel, thank you so much for inquiring about, your David Adler home. It's absolutely gorgeous. I made sure to share it with our principal designer, LuAnn last week during our weekly meeting. We are obsessed with all things historic. We worked on a similar project right down the street. This is the exact type of project that we're incredibly passionate about supporting. So what I want to do is I want to set up a call with you and LuAnn, right, to go through your project and this, that, and the other. Prior to your call, I ask that you review, this below packet, design overview packet that shares a little bit more on our process and investment and about our firm. I can't wait to connect you two. It's going to be a great combo. Who am I booking? Right? Like, oh my gosh, guys, right? When you want to have luxury projects, you can't do the same thing that you're
That's
doing in a
right.
different market.
It's so true. It's so true because all of the other ways to reach out, respond are valid, just like pennies are valid. A gabillion pennies adds up to the same. $3 million. Right. Yeah.
Totally. When you're trying to do 30 projects a year, you better believe you need a copy and paste system. You do, right? But just like quick note, you speak differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like for example, like I have this is probably bad, but like I have 4 quotes sitting in my inbox right now for custom sisols and window treatments and landscapers for this home. And guess why they're sitting in my inbox? Because there was nothing that had a timeline on it that I needed to get back to. They
Mm,
just emailed over the proposal, right? And it's sitting in my inbox. There's not a contract that expires.
yeah.
So, something that I taught Liz to do, and this may be helpful for your listeners, but like number one, never ever send over a proposal that just sits in an inbox.
Right.
That should be done over the phone,
I
over
know.
Zoom, or over in
I
person.
know.
There
Gosh.
better be an expiration on that contract. But before those 3 things, you know what would have even been better? I'm just using my landscape guy. If, last week when I met him at the home, if he said to me, him and I chit chatted for an hour. This is like your site visit. We walked through. I showed him, whatever things I like and not like. And he said to me, Rachel, this was super helpful that I got to come over here today. I'm so glad that I got to see the property, see the home, and really understand your vision.
Mm,
So what I'm gonna do on my end is I'm gonna go back to my desk. I'm going to spend the next week really thinking about this project scope of, florals 4 times a year, having it feel like an English garden. And I hear your note on the yellow flowers that you hate them, whatever, right? So
right.
I'm going to spend a week putting together a proposal. And then I want to set up a call so we can review that proposal together.
Yeah.
Now, naturally, I understand that this is a big decision, right? And a big scope for us to be thinking about. We're bringing electricity to the road for a gate and this, that, and the other. But as you know, I'm only working with 15 families a year. So I need to know how to allocate my time and my future team's time. So I'm going to need an answer from you in a week of how we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
So does that sound fair? I'll spend a week putting a ton of thought into this project based off of the notes together today. We'll review it and then I'll give you a week to make a decision. I'm like, Mick, no problem. I can get you an answer before then. You see the
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah. Yeah. One day I'll get it with you. Don't give
I
up my
will
spot.
honestly take my project, right? But no one's doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then they're
That was
wondering
not
why
what
things aren't
happened with the
converting.
landscaper. That's not
It's
what
people
happened.
wonder why things don't convert. The way you speak to luxury market is you need to be positioned as the expert, right? Number
Yeah.
one, and then you need to speak the lingo and language,
Yep.
right? And then there's all these little teeny tiny pieces and nuances
Yep.
that need to be figured out.
Yep. I love it. I love it. I love the idea of the expiration date.
Oh yeah, big
I
time.
love that.
I
And you know
mean,
what? The
yeah,
thing about it is that again, just garden variety human hearing that, a designer like Liz Walton now is doing a proposal and supplying an expiration date on it. It's like, again, if your target client is luxury, your target client is a successful business person, they're literally processing like, oh yeah, like I might not want to have my back against the wall with an expiration date, but if I don't respond to it, I will lose my shot. This
yep,
person is not sitting around waiting for business, whether you have no other business or not. The
right,
the
right.
implication is that you're successful. I've seen your website. I've seen your projects. All these things are true. And it's another truth that's easy to understand, that if I expect you to take the type of care and time on the scope of project that I'm discussing with you, it makes perfect sense that you must have it allotted in the calendar of your entire team. Like,
Yeah,
you just
and
don't like
yeah,
run into the world and be like, okay, here's my $1 million project. Were you waiting for it? Do you have time to do it? Like, a professional doesn't
right.
think that you do.
No, and in short, and I say this to my clients often, but I think it's powerful, like experts hire experts.
Yes.
So
Yes.
meaning like if you want to work with a guy that's a top entrepreneur, someone that owns 15 dental offices or whatever it is, it's like they respond to people with similar verbiage and messaging. So for example, like right, like I'm here in Chicago and just last week, like I was looking for a dermatologist. And I, went onto a few websites and some of them were like, we do lasers, we do mole removal, we do this, that, and the other. Book, new client available. Here's our blog of how to take care of your skin. I'm like, right? Versus
Right.
the one I went to, it was like Chicago. Look how simple, like Chicago's leading dermatologist
Yeah.
featured in the Chicago Tribune and Modern Luxury and this, that, and the other. Now accepting new patients, fill out this form and someone will be in touch in 48 hours. I'm
Yeah.
like, just immediately, like the experience of like,
Yeah.
we don't do everything and anything. We don't have
Right.
a list of 5 bajillion services. Like, this is our expertise. It's like Cheesecake Factory, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I love a grilled cheese at the Cheesecake Factory. I do, right? I do. But like, we don't want to have 5,000 pages of the menu that's like,
Oh my
I'm
God.
here, I'm available, versus like a great restaurant that it's
Yeah.
like they have 4 items and we already know that was, put together with such care and integrity and top ingredients.
Yeah. 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 It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Do we have time for one more example?
Yeah. Let's do one more. Let's do one more.
One
We
more.
have a few
Okay.
minutes.
Because
Yep.
I think this one's interesting of the idea of
Okay.
niching down for a project. Sometimes we'll have
Okay.
clients where like just renovations, just historic, just this, that, and the other.
Okay.
This client, Jamie, came to me. And when I saw her, she felt like initially prior to coaching, I remember her saying like she felt stressed and frazzled, almost like she was like a swan above, right underneath, like paddling to stay afloat. And
Right.
I remember her saying something along the lines of like, I think I'm being perceived as a more budget friendly option.
Mm.
Right. I think that I'm working with right now are getting hung up and nickel and diming me. And I need to get out of this cycle. And I haven't put much out there. So either they don't know me at all, or what they do know of me is not like luxury and expensive.
Okay.
Okay. So what we did was we really worked to niche her down to doing complex construction projects. So even notice
Mm.
the verbiage there,
Yes.
complex construction. So a custom new build from the ground up, or a large scale renovation where we're taking it down to studs, right? And it was in Florida. So that was part of the niche. So the verbiage that we use across the board was around large scale construction, complex
Yeah.
construction, how she has her master's degree in international business and
Wow.
she's incredibly psycho detailed and she knows a blueprint by the back of her hand, right?
Right.
She also went to design school, so she has this ideal combination of this black and white 1, 2, 3 meets creativity and solutions focus.
Wow.
So her North Star statement was, we said something along the lines of, with close to a decade of expertise in luxury, large scale construction projects ranging from custom new builds to full scope renovations, Jamie has created a powerful name for herself in Central Florida for complex projects. Today, she frequently partners with prominent builders and architects to design turnkey properties from floor plans to furnishings.
Wow.
That is so different than like, we're your chief design officer for your family, or like we have
Right.
this cool girl aesthetic, like next wave, like next like guard of
Right.
design.
Right.
It's a different way to sell. And a lot of work that I do with women is like, okay, once we're clear on the story, now how are we making sure we're getting clients with it? And something I focus a lot on is partnerships. So
Mm.
how I view partnerships is, rather than going inbound hoping that someone's going to find you, we go outbound. So with like Jamie or Liz or even Erica, we go outbound to reach out to the top architects and the top builders. And I teach my clients like, what is the email we send to set up a meeting? When they say yes to a meeting, what do we bring and what do we say? So look at the difference. How Jamie would have gone in before. If she's meeting with a builder, she'd been like, hi, yeah, we should figure out how to collaborate. Maybe you send an email or you meet someone at a networking event. That's not going to work. Versus her going in now saying, I have a background and expertise in this. I
Yeah.
only touch complex construction projects. 99% of my portfolio is either a brand new build from the ground up or this, that, and the other. We like highly researched them. We used the verbiage that made sense for them. We created a partnership packet, which was basically like a gorgeous visual spec book, but also told her story, right? Her story, her background. And then we went into meetings with these architects, builders, people that can fill the pipeline for her. And we say something along the lines of like, I may only be right for 20% of your clients. But
Mm.
when you see a custom new build that's 5,000 square feet plus, where they are looking for someone to hold their hand and support them on everything from floor plans to furnishings, they want to have one of a kind hardware and this, that, and the other, I'm your call.
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Or like Liz could say the same thing. Let's say she's meeting with a realtor. She could say something like, I may only be a right fit for 30% of your clients. But when you see a couple or a family that are top executives in their field, and maybe they're relocating for work, or maybe they're looking for a property that serves their growing family, into the next generation, I'm the call. I specialize in supporting really, really busy professionals to create turnkey properties because they have such busy professional and personal lives. They're filled to the brim.
I love it.
And the realtor's like, I can consume this. Or the architect's like, I can consume this. It's clear who you are. I'm clear on your specialized surgery, and I can refer you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
oh my
Yeah.
God. And I love that statement.
Mm.
You know me, I'm a student of sales for 50
Yeah.
years. I
Yeah.
love the takeaway. I
Mm.
may only be right for
Mhm.
30% of your client. Like
Totally.
literally it is the takeaway in its best form because it's literally doing multiple things. It's creating, wait. I have people that are right for you. Like, wait a
Yeah.
second, right?
Yeah.
It's putting that little alert in their brain. But
Yep.
then the second thing is when you say, I may only be a right fit for 30% of your clients, but when you, and
Yeah.
now you're enabling, whether it's the realtor, the architect, the builder, whoever it is, to go, oh, wait, okay, now I'm going to pay attention. These are the
Totally.
ones. So
Mhm.
now we're not running around figuring out. It's like you, Rach.
Mhm.
You and I talk all the time. I'm a right fit for
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
women who want to take their business to the next level, that want to do the work, that want to make
Yep.
that 5% shift. It is, I've
Yep.
got thousands of listeners of the podcast. You're not interested in all of them. They're not
Yeah.
all a right fit, right? It's
Totally.
like, and the
And I
thing
think that's
is
the
you
goal
help
of
the
building a
person help
powerful
you.
brand.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It allows people to say, I'm you, you're me. It allows people to like stand in line and wait for you if they're right fit. And it
Yes.
allows you to charge top dollar and have the best referrals. And
Yeah.
when I was working with Jamie, I only coached her a year ago, which I think is pretty cool. We signed a $500,000 furnishings job, and before that, she was nowhere near that. And she
Wow.
took in 2022 is when I initially like saw her, and then we, the work implemented into 2023. She took a fourth of the jobs in 2023 as 2022 and made more money. Okay.
Wow.
Less clients, more money. That's always my goal. And that was only a
Yes.
year ago.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I
So I
love
think
it.
those are fun.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. It's a remarkable body of work that you have, and it's a
Thank
remarkable
you.
trail of women that you've worked with and impacted their lives. Before I let you go,
Hmm.
I know that you've been on the show a couple of times, and I
Yeah.
know particularly the first episode, and I think all the episodes that you've been on, and we'll link them in the show notes, are valuable to listen to because you just get it. It's like you hear the same thing a different way. It sparks your brain a different
Totally.
way, and you'll learn more about Rachel. But I know that you have changed the business model. You've tweaked it
Hmm.
a little bit about how you work with somebody. So if somebody's going to
Yeah.
listen to that first episode, those are not the parameters. So walk us through our opportunities for
Hmm.
how we would work with you now in 20 go in,
Yeah.
we're in
In this.
2024.
Yeah. Yeah. So, three ways I work with clients. One is virtual coaching. So it's her and I on Zoom the entire day. I spend months prepping the brand, the sales strategies, right? Like all of the pieces. Here's what you say to a builder, here's what you don't. And I train her on it. Okay, that's option number one. I do that at 12 grand. And then option number two, which is I would say like my favorite way to work with women, also I think like the most quote unquote like popular way I see women is when they travel to Chicago to meet with me. I put them up in a beautiful hotel suite, which becomes like our headquarters for coaching. We'll spend 3 hours going to dinner together, right? And really chit-chatting and connecting. And then we spend the entire next day building out, well, it's already built out, but me training her on her built out strategy.
Mhm.
There's more time for coaching there. There's also
Yeah.
all of the magic of like we're walking down the street to get a quick coffee and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you know who I need to call on your behalf?"
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So in I'm going to call it like the virtual package, I usually put together 20 pages of notes. For my in person, it's 40 or 50,
Okay.
right? That's at 29 grand. And side note, I think most women that I work with view this as like, we're going to make this back in a design fee, like super quickly, right? Or like,
Exactly.
well, we just need to upgrade
Exactly.
them
It's
on their,
one great
yeah,
project that you
yeah,
never would have been able to formulate the pitch for.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like, right, I don't know, you upgrade the furnishings budget. and then
Yeah.
it pays for itself indefinitely. So that's
Yes.
the second way that I work with women. And then the third way I work with women, I only work with 2 or 3 clients on this a year, is when I touch everything, right? So like I do the entire brand website, logo, headshots. We design every single marketing packet, right? And I only do a few of those a year, and that's called brand launch weekends. And that's on my website. I do those at 80. And how women view it is like they're going to spend that by trying to piecemeal an entire team to do it. You
Yeah.
know, the marketing packets, and they have a graphic designer, and then they have someone doing headshots. And now they have to get hair and makeup. Um, but that I do it all
It's
myself, so I
amazing.
touch every single word. Yep. So those are the
It's
3
amazing.
ways that I work with women. Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
It has been my great privilege to have worked with you 2 times. And you think to yourself, why did I need to do a second time? I had a different focus the first time.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
different focus, and I said to her, I need your superpowers again, my friend.
Yeah. We had fun. I always have
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
with you.
Yeah, yeah. So this is awesome. We will link in the show notes Anne's podcast episode, your previous episodes. And I don't know how else to say. I cannot endorse and value you and vouch for you enough. I've never had anybody report back to me that they did not get their value of an investment with you. It's
Thank
you're
you.
100 for 100.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I love what
yeah,
I do. I love the women I work with. They become
yeah,
dear friends like you. So
yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That, yeah, that is the truth. Well, thank you, Rachel. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Lo.
Every time I speak with Rachel, I get aha moment after aha moment. It's crazy. This many conversations and it still happens. She is literally the embodiment of a hashtag smart lady. And I can personally attest to the big difference that she has made for me in my business time and time again. When you hear Rachel talk about the nuances in your messaging, the processes in your business, you can see why and how come honing in on your superpower needs to be crystal clear. What stands out to me is hearing the difference, the before and after in the bios and the North Star statement of the clients that she worked with. Okay? When you hear the new descriptions, you get it. You understand there is no mixing up any other designer for that description. Okay? You can't just substitute someone else's name and it makes sense. It doesn't. This is what you're looking for. This is what you want in your messaging because this is what it takes to attract the luxury client. They don't want a generalist like Rachel described. They want someone who is the go-to person for XYZ, for your superpower. Okay? On a recent episode, an on-air live strategy session with Melissa Fields, her and I talked about this. She was talking about on her website all the different kinds of services that she could provide, every type of service that she was capable of doing. And yet she was surprised that she was consistently getting people who wanted to do 3, 4, 5 of the different services that she didn't want to do. She was saying, I want to work with luxury, but she was offering everything. And she's too close to it to see. It's a great episode. The clarity that unfolds in it is really terrific. And Melissa was a great sport in it. We'll link it in the show notes if you missed it. It's kind of like you're an Italian cook and you loved cooking Italian. It's all the kind of cooking you want to do. But on your menu at your restaurant, you have Asian dishes, you have Mexican, you have Creole, and you have Italian. And you're standing there wondering why you get orders every day for Mexican, Creole, and Asian when all you want to do is cook Italian. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Take all the other stuff off the menu. And guess what you'll do? You'll cook Italian all day, every day, right? This is what Rachel is saying. She's saying, get clear. Speak about what you're clear on, what you want to do. Speak about it loud and proud and take everything else off the menu. Your messaging, she said, should be so authentic and so true to you, to your voice, and to what you do, that it does not apply to anyone else. And it starts with defining what it is that you do that nobody else does the way you do it. I get it. This is where many of us get tripped up, trying to see that. Often we don't see that unique element of ourselves, but we all have one. Rachel has yet not to find one in every single person that she's worked with, right? She's like a detective that digs through every little thing you say about your past, about your dreams, about the things that you reveal that you never even considered were important. It's almost unbelievable. I mean, it really is. But we've got the examples, the before and afters of the dozens of interior design clients that she has helped straighten out and get them clarity and get them on the path to calling their ideal luxury client to them. Okay? What's clear from this conversation is that niching is not just about finding more clients. It's about finding the right ones. So if you are living with the fear of limiting your opportunities if you niche, know that, yes, you are going to limit them. But you're going to limit yourself to exactly the right projects, the right clients, the right possibilities for your business. You will be cutting out what doesn't belong to make room for what does. And that's what it takes to create a well-designed business that fulfills you, right? I had this aha moment in the episode when I was thinking about myself and the stage of life I'm in and, what I want to talk about if I'm a working professional, working in a professional setting with someone. I want someone who feels like me. I want someone who talks about the things that I talk about and the values that I have. I haven't thought about that in terms that Rachael brought up or in how that reflects in messaging. As Rachael said, we want the client to say to themselves, I'm you and you're me. You see, I get an aha every single time I talk to her. I really do. If you put you into what you do, into your process, into your branding, into your messaging, you do attract people who are like you, who see themselves in you. They're not going to be like you in every way, but they are going to see the things that are most important to them in your messaging and what you do. And when you attract high-level clients, those top-tier clients, you have to convey that level of authenticity and confidence in who you are and what you bring to the table. I also loved what Rachael said about how she encourages clients to develop the peer partnerships. That statement of, I'm not the right fit for all of your clients, but when you see these opportunities, 30% of the time, remember me. I'm the one. I'm the fit there. It's memorable. It's interesting. And I can guarantee you that that peer partner has opportunities to refer you and to refer that great fit client to you, right? It makes sense. Rachael, thank you so much for this conversation. As always, you continue to wow us, and we appreciate you, and we're so glad that we have you niching into our industry, okay? And before we end, have you heard that we are on the road to 1,000 episodes? Yes, each week between now and the 1,000th episode, we are counting down the most listened to shows of every year from 2016 to 2023. Follow me on Instagram and in my Facebook group, and of course here on the show to know which people and episodes have made the top 5 listened to episodes each year of the podcast. I cannot thank you enough for listening to the show, for encouraging me to do the show, and for you doing the work in making your business better and more profitable. The road to 1,000 is pretty cool, and I am so grateful to you for your part in getting us here. Thanks tons for everything. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.